SantaSam coming up.
We are now into the countdown, ladies and gentlemen. The map is going to be Daybreak as we spawn onto the map, where in the top right-hand corner is the green Zerg player representing Crazy Forces, unable to take the game number 1 victory despite the air advantage. Will he try and do something different this game, or will he go for the same strategy and be a little bit more aware of potential infestor play? We'll find out, guys. His name is SantaSam. And his opponent, spawning in the bottom left-hand position, one of the UK's most well-known players, looking to make a name for himself, looking to qualify into the Challenger Division of the World Championship Series EU. He's got a lot of opponents to get through, but first, he needs to start here. He's 1-0 up. Can he close out the series? It is JonnyRecco.
Now, Joe Rosart, this has kind of just been what I've been thinking about in the last game. SantaSam had that Mutalisk count lead. He went in for the pressure, and I feel like he was more caught off guard than anything by the number of infestors, the fact that he had pathogen glands, and just he made such a smooth transition to them that he didn't even think about preemptively splitting his Mutalisks or anything like that. I really want to know if SantaSam can get into that same position that he was in the last game. If JonnyRecco does go for infestors, are we going to see a little bit better control from SantaSam? How much, if he had just split those Mutalisks into 2 different clumps, how much could that have affected that engagement in the last game? It's, you know, it's such tiny things, like just not realizing how fast that infestor transition came pretty much cost him the game when he lost the first clump of Mutalisks. I feel like SantaSam is definitely not out of this best of 3.
He isn't. I mean, let's look at that game in perspective before those money fungals happened on that clump of Mutalisks, Nathanius. At the end of the day, he was in a position where he managed to deny a base, and he had superior muta numbers. It looked like he had all the ingredients needed to basically win a current metagame Heart of the Swarm ZVZ. It looked like everything was there. And then JonnyRecco went, okay, I recognize that this might be a problem, so I'm going to head away, build a little bit of static defense, and get my infestors out. Now that SantaSam knows that that's what his opponent's going to do, he could theoretically go for the same kind of strategy and just be a little bit more aware. All that was required was a bit more splitting, for example, on behalf of those Mutas in that last game, and we could have seen an infestor graveyard. It could have gone either way, and now that he has that knowledge under his belt, I wouldn't be surprised if he continued to try and go for that strategy, because I think he recognizes that that was the one biggest turning point in that game.
Yeah, absolutely. And either way, ever getting your Mutalisks fungled like that is just probably one of the worst feelings ever. Can't actually throw in enough evers for how bad that's got to feel. Both players pretty much opening up the same way as in game number 1 here. Nothing unusual. Zergling speed is on the way for both players. This time, JonnyRecco's getting his speed slightly later. SantaSam could be looking to put on some pressure, but we're going to have to see the Baneling Nest timings, of course. SantaSam has actually stopped mining gas after starting speed, so he looks like he wants to do either some sort of Queen-heavy opener or a very, very greedy play. No Spinecrawler yet. This is a very interesting way to play for SantaSam. I feel like he could be anticipating that fast lair again, which
I think
would,
SantaSam... I think this...
Mean, I don't know. There could be a lot of Zerglings.
This looks like it might be a speedling all-in from SantaSam here, I want to say, because he had 14 Zerglings in production just now. He's getting another 6. And he's actually pulling them in his natural because he doesn't want JonnyRecco to spot them with his Overlords just yet. This could be the kind of thing that would be very, very effective against someone that doesn't quite have their Banelings out just yet. And now we see a whole bunch of Speedlings moving past the Overlord from JonnyRecco. He did click on that. He knows what's coming now. Immediately starts a Spinecrawler, 2 defensive Baneling. But the number of Zerglings on the field now for SantaSam is 36 and counting. In comparison, guys, JonnyRecco has 0 lings on the field.
Oh, goodness, those Banelings coming in. One of them doesn't get too big of a hit off. He's trying to focus it down so that his Zerglings can hit those drones. He needs to be so careful and patient with this. One good Baneling detonation. This whole attack is over. Very nice trades. A Zergling, and now things are looking very, very dangerous for JonnyRecco. Spine Crawlers don't really kill Zerglings fast enough. If he loses everything in here, he could run into the main base. He will pick off those Zerglings. He doesn't need to engage the Spine, but he is going to focus down the Queens as well at the same time. And a lot of damage being done by SantaSam, but engaging into these Spines, he should be able to stabilize for now. More Banelings on the way for JonnyRecco. He has killed 4 drones, and not a crazy amount of damage. He's going to go in with a few more Lings and possibly try to add in a little bit more damage.
That was incredibly tense there. SantaSam, there might have been a point where he could have gone into the base and tried to wreak havoc amongst the drones there, but then he saw that the Queens were on such low health, and he did manage to pick both of them off. I feel like SantaSam wanted to get more damage done, but the loss of those 2 Queens can't be understated from JonnyRecco. He doesn't have the larva to work with in the long run, and as a result, he needs to try and get a lot of units out now in case SantaSam goes for some sort of follow-up attack. And SantaSam actually is being quite smart about this. He's making a lot of drones behind him. He's actually squeezed himself into a worker lead until just about now. JonnyRecco evening it out a little bit, and he's going for his own Baneling nest out the front of his natural. I think he really wanted to get a lot more than 4 drones killed there, to be honest.
Yeah, and I mean, at the very least, he forced a lot of Zergling production. The drone count looks very similar for both players, but JonnyRecco taking advantage of this. He's going to get his lair and a Roach Warren. I'm not so sure he wants to use a Roach Warren for too much, unless he wants to go for some kind of Roach Hydralisk play. Slightly less popular compared to Mutalisk strategy, but currently looking at what SantaSam has, he had that gas mining delayed for so long. He got a Baneling nest very, very late. Now he has to make Banelings, so he hasn't even yet started his lair, and it's about to finish for JonnyRecco. So with that Evolution Chamber coming up as well, he could go for something like +1 attack on his Roaches, which will let them 2-shot the Zerglings. He could go for +1 armor and do a Roach Ling attack so that his Lings can sustain 2 hits from the Banelings. He's got a lot of options available to him, and, well, with that lair completing, he's got Roach speed and a lot of Roaches on the way.
That's right, and this is really a fine response to some sort of low-tech all-in, because JonnyRecco recognized, he went, hold on a second, with this kind of speedling style, I know you got a much later gas, I know that my layer timing is going to be significantly faster than yours. We also saw him suicide an Overlord into the main base just to make sure that his layer really was that much later. And as a result, now these Roaches from JonnyRecco are going to reign supreme. SantaSam's biggest hope in dealing with these Roaches is running past them to see how much counter damage he can do. And right now, with 3 Banelings and 2 Spine Crawlers guarding the ramp here, it's going to be pretty difficult to do that.
Yeah, a couple Zerglings trying to run in here and do a little bit of a check now. Going for just a bit of a body check. The Roaches are here by the 3rd base, though. The Zerglings might try to get us around. He's going to cuddle right next to that hatchery. Doesn't want to give too much surface area up here, but looking pretty solid so far is JonnyRecco. 3rd hatchery is on the way for SantaSam, but it's only now just starting, and it's about 20 seconds away from finishing for JonnyRecco, so he is looking so good right now. He has that +1 missile attacks coming up as well, and since there's no Evolution Chambers on the field for SantaSam, he'll fall behind in upgrades, and once these Roaches start 2-shotting these Zerglings, it is going to become a very, very rough time for SantaSam. Going to try to engage these Roaches in the center of the field, Jarsar.
Oh, and here we go. Now, there's no Baneling support here. It has to be said, they were still defending just a little bit, but with the addition of a couple of Lings of his own, JonnyRecco is going to be able to force SantaSam back. He currently enjoys a supply lead of 111 to 72 right now, losing a couple of Lings there, but the Roaches behind are just adding sufficient DPS to this army. It's making it very difficult for SantaSam to contain. He's trading relatively efficiently with his Lings, just picking off a Ling here or there and then moving around. But all this time, JonnyRecco is just moving further and further towards that 3rd hatch. And once this gets denied, because make no mistake, guys, it's about to get denied, JonnyRecco's advantage will be huge.
Yeah, completely overwhelming that. He's going to throw down a triple Evo wall, just try to keep the Roaches away as long as possible. He wants to run some of these Zerglings over towards the 3rd base, but there are Banelings and Roaches about to arrive and defend that. JonnyRecco holding on to his 3rd at the same time, pushing into the natural, and SantaSam dropping to 75 supply, almost below 70. He's going to have such a hard time holding this attack off. He's got Mutalisks coming out now, but are they going to be able to kill the Roaches before they can pick off a significant number of drones? I'm not so sure, Jarsar.
That's right, Honey Badger Roaches now splitting up between the natural and the main base. That seems to be a little bit of a theme this series so far, as the main base mineral line is getting absolutely pummeled by JonnyRecco, who is up 94 supply to 64, a substantial lead with more Roaches streaming into the natural. SantaSam right now cannot afford to be aggressive with his mutas out in the center of the map, simply because these roaches would absolutely pulverize his economy back home. He's leading now as JonnyRecco, 49 to 34 workers.
Yeah, and oh man, these roaches, you're so right, just honey badgering through them. Mutalisks can't kill them in time, and we do have that Hydralisk Den wrapping up, so we're going to have a lot of mobile anti-air for JonnyRecco, and there's not going to be enough Mutalisks to just overwhelm the Hydras. The static defense for JonnyRecco should be able to hold off any kind of counterattacks if he tries to abuse the mobility of the Hydralisks, and he's got at least 3 Spore Crawlers per base now. He is looking so solid in his setup, pressing forward with the creep now as well, and I gotta say, in terms of ways SantaSam can come back here, he's gonna really need to catch him off guard, maybe juke him into thinking the Mutalisks are over by the third, maybe diving into the main, but I just don't see any way he's gonna be able to cause the same level of economic damage that he's received when the main base has 4 Spore Crawlers by the mineral line.
Yeah, there are quite a lot here, and we've got, look, Queens, Hydras, and Spore Crawlers at the third base. SantaSam is flying back with his mutas, tails between their hypothetical legs, going, darn, what can I do to actually catch a break in this game? And unfortunately, the answer at the moment is not a lot. He's only just got his third base up again. He is down 66 to 39 workers, and JonnyRecco is enjoying close to a 50 supply lead. More Lings coming in to harass the third, and if these mutas continue to chase these Lings into the natural, and what's remaining in the third goes unchecked, he could actually lose this hatch. Fortunately, diverts a couple of mutas back.
Yeah, we'll be able to save that off, and I mean, at this point, anything he loses is just, it's kind of like he's had his legs broken. He's just trying to get up onto his feet again somehow, but every time JonnyRecco even kills a single drone, it's just shoving him right back over on his side. He's not really in any position to dictate the pace of this game, and JonnyRecco taking a 4th base, he's saturated on his third, he's saturated on his natural and his main. He does the main base is up for SantaSam. He's finally secured saturation there as well as at his natural, but this third base is going to take him a little bit to saturate, and you know, the time that it takes for him to build up his drone so that he can actually get fighting units out, JonnyRecco is already going to have a full army prepared.
No, that's a great point. I mean, one thing I really want to praise JonnyRecco for, again, in this particular game, we see very similar to what he did last game. He knows how big a lead he has right now. He knows how well he's been doing, and you know what he's doing, Nathaniel? He's playing it slowly. He's getting up towards his potential late-game compositions. He's thinking about later. He's continuing to harass with these Zergers, and this time, he's going to come very, very close to getting this third hatch. The mutas are coming in. Is it going to be enough? It doesn't look like it, and the third gets sniped off as well. JonnyRecco isn't going, look, I have a much bigger army, I've got a 40 supply lead, how about I just A-move and win? There might have been times where that could be possible, but he doesn't want to do that. He wants to get himself into a position where he's constantly making sure he's transitioning correctly into his late game, he's getting the ideal army composition, and he's slowly squeezing his opponent out of the game. And he's doing a tremendously good job of that right now.
Yeah, I agree, and well, SantaSam's like, man, I don't want to get eliminated from this qualifier. He wants to try to move forward and represent Europe, but I gotta say, his wall of evolution chambers is not going to be able to hold this off for long. He is just going to plow through this. The broodlings not going to be able to kill off the roaches and hydralisks. And JonnyRecco saying, sorry man, I am advancing in this qualifier. I'm going to take you out now. Infestors are popping, but there's not enough. There's the GG, and JonnyRecco